Pain is an inevitable part of life. No matter how careful you are, no matter how kind you try to be, there will always be people who hurt you, intentionally or unintentionally. It could be a friend who betrayed your trust, a family member who let you down, a colleague who tried to undermine you, or even a stranger whose words cut deep. The first instinct in such situations is often denial. We tell ourselves it didn't matter, that we're fine, that we don't care. But the truth is, ignoring pain doesn't make it disappear. It lingers beneath the surface, affecting your thoughts, your emotions, and sometimes even your physical well-being. The first step to handling people who hurt you is to acknowledge the pain, not suppress it, not brush it under the rug, but truly recognize that you've been hurt. It's uncomfortable, yes, but necessary. When someone hurts you, your emotions go into overdrive. Anger, sadness, confusion, sometimes even guilt. Flood your mind, making it difficult to think clearly, and in that moment, it's easy to let those emotions take over. Some people lash out, wanting to hurt back. Others shut down completely, pretending they feel nothing. Neither approach truly helps in the long run. Acknowledging pain means sitting with it for a moment, allowing yourself to process what happened without judgment. It's about being honest with yourself. If someone betrayed you, it's okay to admit that it hurts. If someone insulted you, it's okay to feel wounded. Pushing emotions away only makes them stronger later. When you acknowledge pain, you take the first step in regaining control. Many people believe that acknowledging pain is a sign of weakness. They think that strong people don't feel hurt, that they simply move on without a second thought. But strength isn't about avoiding pain, it's about facing it head on. When you accept that you're hurt, you stop running from it. You stop allowing it to control you from the shadows. It doesn't mean you dwell on it forever, but it does mean you give yourself the space to feel. You might feel angry, disappointed, or even humiliated. That's normal. What's important is that you don't stay stuck in those emotions. Acknowledging pain also helps you understand the root cause of your feelings. Sometimes the hurt is deeper than it appears on the surface. A cruel comment from a coworker might sting not just because of the words, but because it taps into an old insecurity. A betrayal by a friend might hurt more because it reminds you of a past abandonment. When you take a moment to reflect, you start to see the patterns. You begin to understand why certain things hurt more than others. This self-awareness is crucial because it prevents you from reacting impulsively. Instead of lashing out or suppressing your feelings, you can respond with clarity and intention. Another reason acknowledging pain is so important is that it validates your experience. Often people around us minimize our feelings. They tell us to just let it go or that we're overreacting. While their intentions might be good, dismissing your pain doesn't help. It only makes you feel more alone. By recognizing your own emotions, you give yourself permission to heal. You don't need external validation to justify your hurt. Your feelings are real and they matter. At the same time, acknowledging pain doesn't mean you let it define you. It's easy to fall into the trap of victimhood, where you replay the hurt over and over in your mind. That's not the goal. The goal is to give yourself the space to feel, process, and then move forward with strength. It's about finding the balance between allowing yourself to experience pain and not letting it consume you. When you acknowledge pain, you also open the door to self-compassion. Instead of blaming yourself for what happened or thinking you should have been stronger, you treat yourself with kindness. You remind yourself that being hurt doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. You wouldn't tell a friend to just get over it if they were hurting. So why do it to yourself? Self-compassion allows you to navigate pain with grace rather than self-judgment. Another crucial aspect of acknowledging pain is understanding that it doesn't mean you have to confront the person who hurt you immediately. Some situations require distance. Some wounds take time. Just because you recognize your pain doesn't mean you have to act on it right away. Sometimes the best thing you can do is sit with your feelings, let them settle, and approach the situation with a clear mind later. It's also worth noting that pain can teach you valuable lessons if you allow it. Every experience, even the painful ones, carries wisdom. Maybe it reveals something about the people you choose to trust. Maybe it teaches you about your own boundaries. Maybe it highlights an area in your life where you need to build more resilience. Acknowledging pain isn't just about feeling, it's about learning. When you accept your emotions without judgment, you create space for growth. In a world that often glorifies the idea of being unbothered, it takes real courage to admit when something hurts. Pretending to be unaffected doesn't make you stronger. It just buries emotions that will surface later in unexpected ways. True strength comes from facing your pain, understanding it and choosing to rise above it, not by ignoring it, but by transforming it into wisdom. People often think that handling those who hurt them means either cutting them off completely or simply enduring their behavior. But the truth is, one of the most powerful ways to deal with hurtful people is by setting clear boundaries. When someone hurts you, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it's crucial to establish what you will and will not tolerate. Many people struggle with this because they fear confrontation or worry about upsetting others. They convince themselves that it's easier to stay quiet, to let things slide, to avoid drama. But the reality is, failing to set boundaries only allows the cycle of hurt to continue. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about protecting your peace, your mental well-being, and your self-respect. They define the line between what is acceptable and what isn't, making it clear to both you and others how you expect to be treated. Without boundaries, people will take advantage of your kindness, push your limits, and continue behaviors that harm you. It's not because they are necessarily bad people, but because they don't know where your limits are unless you communicate them. One of the biggest reasons people hesitate to set boundaries is fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being seen as rude, fear of losing relationships. But avoiding discomfort in the short term only leads to greater pain in the long run. Every time you allow someone to cross a line without addressing it, you reinforce the idea that their behavior is acceptable. Eventually, resentment builds up and the relationship becomes toxic. You find yourself feeling drained, disrespected, and unheard, all because you were afraid to assert yourself. Setting boundaries starts with self-awareness. Before you can communicate what you need, you have to understand it yourself. Ask yourself what behaviors make you uncomfortable, what actions leave you feeling disrespected, and what treatment you are no longer willing to accept. Maybe it's a friend who constantly belittles you under the guise of joking. Maybe it's a colleague who takes credit for your work. Maybe it's a family member who manipulates you into doing things you don't want to do. Identifying these patterns is the first step to breaking free from them. Once you are clear on your boundaries, the next step is learning to communicate them. Many people struggle with this because they fear sounding aggressive or confrontational. But setting boundaries doesn't require anger or hostility. It requires firmness and clarity. Instead of blaming or attacking, use I statements that express your feelings and expectations. Instead of saying, "You always put me down," say, "I feel disrespected when you make comments about my choices. I need you to stop." Instead of saying, You never appreciate me, say, I feel undervalued when my efforts go unnoticed. I need acknowledgement for my contribution. This approach shifts the conversation from accusation to assertiveness, making it easier for others to understand and respect your boundaries. Now, not everyone will respect your boundaries immediately, and that's where standing your ground becomes essential. Some people will test your limits, try to guilt trip you or dismiss your feelings. They may say things like, "You're being too sensitive," "You've changed," or "I was just joking." In these moments, it's important to remind yourself why you set these boundaries in the first place. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your limits. Your job is to protect your well-being, not to make everyone comfortable at your own expense. There will be times when enforcing boundaries means walking away from people who refuse to respect them. This can be difficult, especially when it involves close friends, family members, or long-term relationships. But the truth is, if someone continuously disregards your boundaries, despite your clear communication, they are showing you that they do not value your feelings. It's not easy to distance yourself from people you care about, but sometimes it's necessary for your own peace and growth. Letting go doesn't mean you hate them. It simply means you love yourself enough to choose peace over pain. Another challenge with setting boundaries is dealing with guilt. Many people, especially those who have spent their lives people-pleasing, feel guilty when they start prioritizing their own needs. They worry about being selfish, about disappointing others, about not being nice. But there is a difference between being kind and being a doormat. You can be compassionate without allowing yourself to be mistreated. You can care for others while still making it clear that your well-being matters too. Remind yourself that setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-respect. As you start setting and enforcing boundaries, you will notice a shift in the way people treat you. Those who genuinely respect you will adjust, understanding that your limits are valid. Those who benefited from your lack of boundaries may push back, but their reaction is not your responsibility. Over time, you will attract relationships that are built on mutual respect and let go of those that drain you. You will feel more confident, more empowered, and more at peace with yourself. Boundaries are not just about keeping negative people out, they are also about allowing the right people in. When you set clear expectations for how you want to be treated, you create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. You surround yourself with people who uplift you instead of those who bring you down. You learn to value yourself enough to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. And most importantly, you teach others how to treat you by showing them how you treat yourself. When someone hurts you, the natural instinct is to strike back. It feels justified, even necessary, to make them feel the same pain they inflicted on you. Whether it's through words, actions, or silent revenge, the urge to retaliate can be overwhelming. But the truth is, revenge rarely brings real satisfaction. In the moment, it may feel like power, like justice, like a way to balance the scales, but in the long run, it does more damage than good. Seeking revenge keeps you emotionally tied to the person who hurt you, giving them control over your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. It keeps you trapped in the past, reliving the hurt over and over again instead of focusing on your own growth and healing. Choosing not to seek revenge does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are allowing the other person to get away with what they did. It means you are choosing yourself over the cycle of negativity. When you seek revenge, you stoop to the same level as the person who hurt you. You allow their actions to dictate your behavior, making their choices more powerful than your own values. True strength comes from choosing growth over retaliation. It comes from realizing that the best way to get even is not by hurting someone back, but by rising above the situation and becoming better because of it. One of the most important things to understand is that hurting someone else will never truly heal your pain. It may provide temporary relief, a moment of satisfaction, but that feeling fades quickly, leaving behind an even greater emptiness. Revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It consumes you, taking up space in your mind and heart that could be used for something far more meaningful. The longer you hold on to the desire for revenge, the longer you allow the pain to control you. Instead of focusing on how to make someone pay for what they did, shift your focus to how you can use the experience to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Growth is about learning from the pain instead of letting it define you. Every painful experience has a lesson hidden within it. Maybe it teaches you to set stronger boundaries, to choose your relationships more wisely, to trust your instincts, or to prioritize your own well-being. Maybe it reveals a part of yourself that needs healing, an insecurity or wound that was triggered by the situation. When you stop focusing on getting back at someone and start focusing on what the experience can teach you, you turn your pain into power. You take back control by refusing to let someone else's actions dictate your happiness. One of the most powerful ways to shift your mindset from revenge to growth is by focusing on your goals and aspirations. Nothing frustrates those who try to hurt you more than seeing you succeed despite their actions. Instead of wasting energy plotting how to get even, channel that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Work on your career, your skills, your mental and physical health, your dreams. Let your success be the loudest response. When you shift your focus from the person who hurt you to your own progress, you reclaim your power. You show them, and more importantly yourself, that they do not have control over your life. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in this process, but not in the way many people think. Forgiveness is not about excusing what someone did or pretending it didn't hurt. It's not about allowing that person back into your life or trusting them again. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of resentment. Holding on to anger and bitterness only harms you, not the other person. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of pain, replaying the hurt over and over again in your mind. Forgiveness is about deciding that their actions will not take up any more of your energy. It's about letting go so that you can move forward without carrying the burden of the past. Another important part of choosing growth over revenge is surrounding yourself with the right people. When you're hurt, it's easy to isolate yourself or surround yourself with people who encourage negativity. Some people will fuel your anger, urging you to get back at the person who wronged you. But real strength comes from surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, who remind you of your worth, who encourage you to move forward in a way that aligns with your values. Being around people who inspire you to grow rather than dwell on negativity makes all the difference in how you handle pain. Self-reflection is also key in this journey. It's easy to focus only on what the other person did wrong, but true growth comes from looking within. Ask yourself what this experience has revealed about you. Did it show you areas where you need to build more confidence? Did it expose wounds from your past that still need healing? Did it teach you to trust yourself more? Every painful experience has the potential to be a lesson if you are willing to learn from it. Choosing growth over revenge does not mean you allow people to walk all over you. It does not mean you ignore what happened or pretend it didn't hurt. It means you make a conscious decision to prioritize your peace, your progress, and your happiness over bitterness. It means refusing to let someone else's negativity dictate your actions. It means recognizing that the best response to hurt is not retaliation, but transformation. Pain has the power to break you or build you, and the choice is always yours. When someone hurts you, it is easy to get stuck in the cycle of anger, resentment, and self-doubt. The pain feels overwhelming, like a weight pressing down on you, making it hard to think about anything else. But what if that pain could be used as fuel? What if instead of letting it consume you, you transformed it into motivation to become stronger, wiser, and more successful? The truth is, some of the most powerful transformations happen when people channel their pain into something productive. Many of the world's most successful people have faced deep pain, betrayal, and rejection. What sets them apart is not that they never experienced hurt, but that they refused to let it define them. They turn their struggles into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. When you face pain, you are given a choice. Let it keep you down, or use it as a driving force to push forward. The people who hurt you expect you to stay broken, to doubt yourself, to give up. Nothing is more powerful than proving them wrong. Not through revenge, but through your own growth and success. The first step in turning pain into fuel is shifting your perspective. It is natural to focus on the unfairness of a situation, to ask why this happened to you, to replay the hurt over and over again in your mind. But every moment spent dwelling on the pain is a moment taken away from building something better. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of focusing on the hurt, focus on how you can use it to become stronger. Every painful experience carries a lesson, and finding that lesson allows you to take back control. Pain is a powerful teacher. It reveals truths that comfort never will. It shows you who is truly there for you and who is not. It forces you to grow in ways that you never would have if everything had gone smoothly. It pushes you to discover inner strength you did not know you had. Some of the best decisions, the biggest transformations, and the most significant personal growth come after moments of deep pain. When everything feels like it is falling apart, it is also the perfect opportunity to rebuild. This time, stronger than before. One of the best ways to channel pain into growth is by setting goals and focusing on your aspirations. When someone hurts you, it is easy to get caught up in proving something to them, but the real victory comes when you prove something to yourself. Use the energy of your emotions to fuel your ambition. Work harder on your dreams, learn new skills, push yourself in ways you never have before. The more you focus on building something meaningful for yourself, the less power the pain has over you. Every step forward is a reminder that you are in control of your own life, no matter what anyone else has done. Physical activity is another powerful way to transform emotional pain into strength. Movement has a way of releasing built-up energy, reducing stress, and bringing clarity. Whether it is working out, running, practicing yoga, or even just going for long walks, physical activity helps shift negative emotions into something productive. The discipline and resilience built through physical activity also translate into mental and emotional strength. When you push through discomfort in one area of your life, it becomes easier to push through challenges in others. Creativity is another outlet for transforming pain into something powerful. Some of the greatest art, music, writing, and performances have been born out of deep emotional experience. Expressing yourself creatively allows you to process emotions in a way that words alone cannot. Whether it is painting, journaling, singing, or any other form of artistic expression, creativity helps transform pain into something tangible, something meaningful. It is not about being perfect or creating something for others. It is about using creativity as a tool for healing and growth. Another way to use pain as fuel is by helping others who are going through similar struggles. When you have been through hurt, you have a unique perspective that can inspire and guide others. Turning your pain into a purpose by supporting or mentoring someone else creates meaning out of difficult experiences. It reminds you that your struggles were not for nothing, that they gave you wisdom and strength that can be shared. There is something incredibly powerful about using your own healing to help others heal. Forgiveness plays a role in this transformation, not for the sake of the person who hurt you, but for your own peace. Holding on to anger and resentment drains energy that could be used for something far greater. Forgiveness does not mean excusing the behavior or forgetting what happened. It means refusing to let the pain control you anymore. It means acknowledging what was done, accepting that you cannot change the past, and choosing to move forward anyway. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of negativity so that you can focus on what truly matters: your own growth, success, and happiness. Surrounding yourself with the right people is crucial when turning pain into power. The people you allow into your life influence your mindset and energy. Being around those who uplift, encourage, and inspire you makes it easier to stay focused on growth instead of dwelling on negativity. On the other hand, staying connected to toxic or negative people only keeps you stuck in the cycle of pain. Choosing your circle wisely is one of the most important steps in rising above hurt. Every painful experience has the potential to shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. The choice is always yours. Stay stuck in the hurt or use it as fuel to build something greater. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When you decide to turn pain into power, you take back control. You shift from being a victim of circumstances to the author of your own story. The greatest success often comes from the deepest struggles, and the most powerful transformations happen when pain is no longer something that holds you back, but something that pushes you forward. Not everyone who hurts you will apologize. Not everyone who causes you pain will take responsibility for their actions. Some will justify, some will deflect, and some will never even acknowledge the damage they've done. It's one of the hardest truths to accept, that closure is not something you always get from others. Sometimes the only way to move forward is to create closure for yourself. Waiting for an apology that may never come only keeps you stuck in the past, reliving the hurt over and over again. Real closure comes from within, from deciding that you are no longer willing to let someone else's actions control your emotions, your peace, or your future. One of the biggest obstacles to finding closure is the idea that you need the other person to understand how much they hurt you. You want them to see your pain, to acknowledge their mistakes, to feel remorse. But the reality is, some people will never give you that satisfaction. They may lack the self-awareness to realize what they've done, or they may simply not care. Holding on to the expectation that they will one day recognize their wrongdoing only prolongs your suffering. The longer you wait for external validation of your pain, the longer you give them power over your healing. Closure is not about getting them to admit they were wrong. It's about deciding that their lack of accountability will not keep you prisoner to your own emotions. Self-closure starts with accepting what happened, not just the facts, but the emotions that come with it. Denying or suppressing your feelings only delays the healing process. Acknowledging that you were hurt, that it was unfair, that you did not deserve it, is an important step. But at the same time, accepting what happened does not mean accepting that you must remain in pain. It means recognizing that the past cannot be changed, that the only thing you have control over now is how you choose to move forward. One way to create closure for yourself is through self-reflection. Instead of focusing on why someone hurt you, shift your focus to what you can learn from the experience. Ask yourself, what did this situation teach me about myself? What boundaries do I need to reinforce? What qualities will I look for in people moving forward? Every painful experience carries a lesson, and extracting that lesson allows you to turn a moment of hurt into a source of growth. It allows you to take something from the situation rather than letting it take something from you. Another powerful way to create closure is by expressing your thoughts and emotions in a way that allows you to release them. Writing a letter that you never send is one method. Putting everything you feel onto paper, your pain, your anger, your disappointment, can be incredibly freeing. It allows you to say everything you wish you could without waiting for the other person to be ready to hear it. Once it's written, you can decide what to do with it. Some people choose to keep it as a reminder of how far they've come. Others burn it, tear it up, or throw it away as a symbolic act of letting go. The point is not what you do with the letter, but that you allow yourself to express and release the emotions attached to the situation. Self-closure also involves making peace with the fact that some things will never make sense. Sometimes the way people treat you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Their insecurities, their fears, their past wounds may drive them to act in ways that are hurtful. Trying to understand why they did what they did can be exhausting, especially when there is no logical or justifiable reason. The more you seek answers that don't exist, the more you keep yourself tied to the pain. At some point, you have to stop searching for an explanation and accept that not everything will come with one. Forgiveness plays a role in self-closure, but not in the way most people think. Forgiveness does not mean excusing the behavior or allowing the person back into your life. It does not mean pretending the hurt didn't happen. It means deciding that you will no longer carry the weight of resentment. Holding on to anger and bitterness does not punish the other person. It only keeps you connected to them in a negative way. Forgiveness is not about setting them free. It's about setting yourself free. Creating closure for yourself also means focusing on the present and the future instead of staying stuck in the past. The more time you spend replaying what happened, the more power you give to something that is no longer happening. Shifting your energy toward things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and purpose allows you to reclaim your life. Investing in yourself, your goals, your passions, your happiness becomes a way of proving to yourself that you are more than what happened to you. Another step in self-closure is removing the person's influence from your life. This doesn't always mean cutting them off completely, though sometimes that is necessary. It can also mean distancing yourself emotionally. If they are someone you still have to interact with, you can choose to engage in a way that does not give them access to your emotions. If they are no longer in your life, letting go of reminders, old messages, photos, or anything that keeps bringing up the past can help break the attachment. Every time you take a step toward detaching from their influence, you take back a piece of your own power. Healing without an apology is one of the greatest acts of self-love. It means you are choosing to prioritize your peace over your pride. It means you are deciding that your happiness is too valuable to be held hostage by someone else's lack of accountability. Some people will never admit they were wrong, and that is their burden to carry, not yours. Self-closure is about taking responsibility for your own healing, not waiting for someone else to give it to you. The moment you stop expecting closure from others and start creating it for yourself, you reclaim your freedom. Healing is not about forgetting what happened. It's not about pretending you were never hurt or convincing yourself that the pain wasn't real. It's about reaching a point where what happened no longer controls you. It's about reclaiming your peace, your joy, and your ability to move forward without carrying the weight of the past. The truth is, healing takes time, and it looks different for everyone. There is no fixed timeline, no perfect process, and no single path that works for everyone. But one thing is certain: true healing comes from within. No one else can do it for you, and no external factor can complete it. It has to be a choice you make for yourself every single day. One of the most difficult parts of healing is accepting that it is not a linear journey. Some days you will feel like you've moved on, only to wake up the next morning feeling the weight of the hurt all over again. There will be moments of strength and moments of weakness. Days when you feel empowered and days when the pain resurfaces unexpectedly. This does not mean you are failing at healing. It means you are human. Healing is not about never feeling pain again. It's about learning how to manage it, how to navigate it without letting it consume you. Letting go of pain does not mean denying it. It does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. Real healing requires allowing yourself to feel, to process, to grieve the loss of what was or what could have been. Many people avoid this step because it's uncomfortable. They distract themselves, keep busy, or push the pain away in the hope that it will disappear. But unprocessed emotions don't just go away, they manifest in other ways through anxiety, anger, insecurity, or self-doubt. The only way to truly let go of pain is to allow yourself to acknowledge it first. One way to begin releasing pain is through self-expression. Keeping emotions bottled up only intensifies them, making them feel heavier over time. Finding healthy ways to express what you feel can be incredibly freeing. Writing, talking to someone you trust, or engaging in creative outlets like art or music allows you to release what's inside instead of holding on to it. Expression is not about seeking validation from others. It's about giving yourself permission to process your emotions in a way that feels right for you. Another important part of healing is changing the narrative you tell yourself about what happened. When people hurt you, it's easy to internalize the pain, to believe that their actions define your worth. You may find yourself asking, why wasn't I enough? What did I do wrong? Why did they treat me this way? But the truth is, people's actions often have more to do with them than with you. Their insecurities, their fears, their unresolved wounds can drive them to act in ways that have nothing to do with your value. Letting go of pain means shifting from asking, why did this happen to me, to asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of the past, you begin to see yourself as someone who has grown from it. Forgiveness plays a role in this process, but not in the way most people think. Many believe that forgiving someone means excusing their actions or allowing them back into their lives. But forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. It's about releasing the hold that resentment has over you. Holding on to anger does not hurt the person who wronged you. It only keeps you connected to them in a negative way. Forgiveness is not about saying what they did was okay. It's about deciding that you no longer want to carry the pain. It's about making peace with the past so that you can focus on the future. Letting go of pain also involves choosing what you focus on. When you constantly replay what happened, when you keep revisiting old conversations, old wounds, and old memories, you keep yourself stuck in that moment. Healing requires a conscious effort to shift your attention from the past to the present. It means redirecting your energy toward things that bring you peace, fulfillment, and joy. The more you invest in your own happiness, the less space there is for the pain to take over. A major part of this is surrounding yourself with the right people. Healing does not mean you have to do it alone. The energy you expose yourself to has a direct impact on your ability to move forward. Being around those who uplift, support, and understand you makes a difference. On the other hand, staying connected to negative influences, whether that's toxic relationships, environments, or even habits, only keeps the wounds open. Choosing to be around people who inspire growth rather than remind you of pain is one of the most powerful steps toward healing. Taking care of your body also plays a role in emotional healing. The mind and body are deeply connected, and neglecting one affects the other. Exercise, proper rest, healthy eating, and mindfulness practices like meditation or deep breathing can help release built-up tension and stress. Movement, in particular, has a way of shifting energy, helping to process emotions in a physical way. Healing is not just about the thoughts you think, it's also about how you treat yourself on a daily basis. At some point in the healing process, you realize that you no longer think about the pain as often. It no longer defines your emotions, your choices, or your self-worth. The memories may still exist, but they no longer have the same power over you. This is not because the pain was erased, but because you have grown beyond it. You have taken control of your own story, deciding that your past does not get to dictate your future. Healing is not about pretending nothing happened. It's about proving to yourself that you are more than what happened to you. It's about realizing that you have the strength to move forward, not because the pain disappeared, but because you chose to rise above it.